Hi kids. Today we're going to look at a bird that's not quite as pretty as the other birds we've been looking at in God's big book of animals, but it's just as amazing, and you might be interested in some things that you may not have ever known about on this particular bird. This bird today that we're going to be looking at is the crow. See a nice big picture of a crow. Now he's not as pretty as the hummingbird or the toucan or even the woodpecker, but he's got some pretty interesting things about him you might learn. He can fly, he can be a good friend, but he makes kind of hoarse sounds. I don't know whether you've ever heard a crow. And he can mimic our language. Not many birds can mimic the human language, but the crow is one of them that can. Now the crow is a member of the perching bird order, and he's grouped with ravens and blackbirds, things like that. Now crows are actually considered songbirds because of their complex vocal organs. God created crows to be very intelligent. They can be trained to mimic human voices just like parrots. There are many stories, poems, and legends written of crows because of their color and toughness. Most of these stories view crows as bad omens of war, death, and evil. But crows can single out a person who harmed them or their chicks. There are documented events of crows attacking people they identified as aggressors. Have you ever been attacked by a crow? I have. Well, when crows find tough food to chew, like you see this other crow here has a big piece of bread. When they find tough food like stale bread or dry bread, they take it to a water source like a puddle or a fountain and dip the food in the water to soften it. Now, a group of crows is called a murder of crows. Let me repeat that, a murder of crows. Now, here's a crow, and he's kind of looking at the bear there. The bear is eating a nice fish, and the crow says, "Hey, bear, can you leave some for me?" Because crows are not scared off by scarecrows. They are only scared of people and animals. They do not cause much damage to gardens because they prefer eating meat. When an animal gets run over, crows immediately fly to the scene of the feast and feast on the flesh. They also eat mice and other rodent carrion. They will also gladly eat wheat, insects, bird, eggs, fruit, nuts, and vegetables. Their diet is varied, so they do not usually suffer from hunger. Now you see here, a crow is cracking a nut shell on a pavement. That's one way they eat, is if they find a nut laying around, they'll break it open and they'll eat it. Now crows have two great enemies, humans and owls. They watch out for cats, eagles, or foxes, but their greatest fear is owls. Owls can creep in and hunt for crow chicks or adult crows in the dark of night without being seen or heard. Many humans bring owls to scare off crows from their homes. Now these three crows here look like they're talking to each other. When a male and a female crow mate, they stay faithful to each other for the rest of their lives. Sometimes a pair of crows leaves the flock to join another, but the pair stays together. They never leave each other. When they have chicks, the mother takes care of them while the father keeps watch and brings food for the family. Baby crows eat at least 8 big meals a day. Studies show that the family of crows can eat about 40,000 insects at one meal. Now here's a bunch of hungry mouths to feed. Can you imagine trying to keep up with that family? If you pay attention, you might see crows dropping nuts on sidewalks and roads. The shells crack open to get run over, and crows can then eat the inside easily. Crows like shiny objects, so they often steal items left out in the backyard. So if you left a nice shiny watch in the backyard or something, they might take off with it. The truth is that crows do not really talk, but they do communicate with each other using caws. Sometimes scientists have found that crows have more than 50 different calls when they communicate. Crows know to sound out excited calls when they find food. sad cause when a fellow crow dies, or even special warning cause to warn friends. In captivity, crows can learn to talk even better than some pet parrots. Crows live in flocks and work together. They use their loud caws to call for help or alert each other of danger. Crows are known to care for one another. For example, if a crow is injured, his fellow crows will stay by his side, even in the face of danger. Crows can live up to 20 years in the wild, and they can fight. Crows' biggest weapon is their voices. They use them to fight and defend their friends. They caw so loud that enemies are scared off and keep away. Sometimes, when they have no other choice, they will fight enemies with the help from fellow crows, which explains why they're so hard to beat. When they fight, they work together. They split up into two groups. The smaller crows are used as bait to bring the enemy to a vulnerable location, and the bigger crows can attack from behind. So we see that crows may not just be the prettiest bird in the world, but they certainly are intelligent. They're certainly one of God's great creatures, and they have some amazing things to learn. They cooperate with their friends. They mate for life. They help clean up the world. And they can even be taught to talk. Those amazing crows. Until next week, we'll see you later.